$30 for an hour of parking, $7 for a can of Coke, $65 resort fee, and countless mystery surcharges that no one understands where they come from. If you're not rich, it's probably best not to set foot here, because only a fool would be willing to go somewhere where you have to pay for everything, except for a worthwhile experience and enjoyment. The city once dubbed the Dreamer's Paradise has now become a nightmare for tourists. Fremont Street is deserted, casinos are empty, and luxury resorts are struggling to launch promotional campaigns to fill rooms each night. From billion-dollar projects that can't recoup their investment, to hotels that are lowering prices like budget motels, Vegas is strangling itself with insatiable greed. Once a city of dazzling lights and the promise of the American dream, it is now just a graveyard of extravagant illusions. In today's video, join us as we explore why Sin City, a symbol of American extravagance and aspiration, is slowly becoming a silent land where only fools dare to tread. Vegas used to be a place where for just $300 you could feel like you were touching the dream, eating well, staying in luxury, and being treated like a VIP. But now, that city hunts you with bills longer than prescriptions, and sometimes makes you feel less like a visitor and more like prey in a game someone else has set up. There's nothing wrong with a city wanting to make money, but there's something very wrong when it makes money by squeezing the very people who once loved it. Every street corner, every casino, every hotel has now become a trap meticulously designed down to the smallest detail. Vegas is no longer a place you choose to enjoy. It's a place where others choose how to take your money. Just a moment of carelessness and the house will take more than you think. Not just your wallet, but also the trust you once had in this city. A $25 burger. A glass of water is $15. Parking used to be free. Now it's charged by the minute. A room is $200 a night. But when I looked at the bill, the number turned into $400. Vegas is no longer the city of opportunity. It has become the city of surcharges. Everything here is meticulously calculated, not to make you happy, but to make you spend a little more, then a little more, until you don't realize how much you've paid for a dream that is both unreal and meaningless. People used to come to Vegas for a night to remember. Now, the unforgettable moment is looking at my empty wallet without understanding why. Perhaps Vegas has inadvertently forgotten that what made it great wasn't greed, but the feeling of being respected. In its golden age, you could lose a hand, lose a few coins, but still leave with a smile, because you felt welcome, seen as part of something bigger. Vegas used to sell not just games of chance, but the belief that everyone deserves a chance to shine, even if only for one night. In the old days, people came here because they were treated fairly. Whether you were a blue-collar worker or a businessman with a $30,000 watch, Vegas made you believe you were the main character on stage and that the neon lights were shining just for you. It was that very hospitality, not the opulent buildings, that made Vegas a legend. But that light has gone out. Now, it only shines a light on the numbers in revenue reports, where emotions are pushed aside, making way for profit spreadsheets. A resident of Vegas shared, "In the early 70s, my father was a carpenter, and I worked summers with him for $5 a day in 46 °C heat. After work, we went into the city center to one of the large, dirty, sweaty casinos, with tattered clothes and looking like homeless people. When we arrived, my dad asked if we could go inside looking like that. I'll never forget. The doorman opened the door for us and said to my dad, 'Your money is as green as everyone else's.' That Las Vegas no longer existed, and I gave up in 1994. Today, Vegas doesn't care whether you're happy or sad. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose, as long as you swipe your card. The people who once gave this city its vitality are now just data points in spending reports. Everything is programmed to maximize profit and minimize memory. If this trend continues, Vegas will lose its soul to the accounting books. A city that once thrived on human emotion is now reduced to dry programming based on data from numbers. Because if everything in Vegas becomes a transaction, will memories still have value? And when greed is celebrated as a culture, will anyone still believe in the magic that once made this place? But what's even scarier is, not only are prices controlled, but so are your opportunities. Vegas was once born of chance, a place where fortune could visit anyone, even if only for a moment. People come here not just to gamble, but to believe that with just one roll of the dice, they can change their lives. The feeling of holding your destiny in your hands, of testing your luck with your own heart and recklessness. That is the true spirit of Las Vegas. But today, even luck is pre-programmed. Blackjack used to be a fair contest between the player and the dealer. Now, the 6-to-5 payout ratio replaces 3-to-2, a seemingly small change, but one that actually tips the scales in favor of the house. Players lose more, and are largely unaware until they leave the table with empty pockets and shattered confidence. Roulette, the game of chance once synonymous with fairness, now has a third zero slot. Previously, double zero gave the house a 5.26% advantage. Now with triple zero, that number jumps to 7.69%. A seemingly small percentage, but millions of dollars change direction overnight. That's why some casinos, including Wynn Las Vegas, were forced to remove this type of table after facing strong opposition from players due to its obvious lack of fairness. Even craps, the loudest and most boisterous dice game in Vegas, where the whole table used to cheer together, sharing the joy of winning and losing, has become as quiet as a surgery. The feeling of "we're in this together" has been replaced by each person to their own machine, where every outcome is controlled by cold algorithms. Recent lawsuits have further exposed that truth. A group of players is accusing the Wheel of Fortune slot machine of not operating according to the laws of probability, showing signs of being rigged, manipulated to benefit the casino. There's no longer an element of luck, just a pre-written formula for you to lose. A little more slowly. In the old days, when you walked into a casino, you heard the heartbeat of this city, the rustling of chips, the clinking of glasses, the burst of laughter. People come not just to gamble, but to feel like they can live large with a perhaps empty wallet. But now, everything is replaced by simulated light and programmed sound. Vegas has turned fun into an industrial product. No more risk, no more suspense. There are no real victories anymore. There's nothing left but an endless chain of manipulated hope. When players have no more chances, the game also loses its meaning. Vegas seems to forget that the joy isn't in winning, it's in the belief that you can win. And when that trust disappears, Vegas goes with it. Because when you realize everything here is programmed to make you lose, that neon light, that slot machine sound, it's no longer the sound of joy. But it was the lament of a city that once lived on hope. If even games of chance have been manipulated, what else in Vegas is truly real? And when people no longer believe they can win, who would want to keep playing? At night, Las Vegas still shines like a mirage. Lights, music, smoke, and billboards flashing continuously, beckoning with dreams of luxury. But stand still for a few seconds after that light, and you'll see a different reality. Empty streets, sparsely populated casinos, and hotel zones filled only with the echoing sound of air conditioning. Vegas is still operating, but it's no longer alive. A taxi driver in Clark County said his passenger volume was down nearly 40% compared to the same period last year, according to data from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, LVCVA 2025. Visitor volume in the first quarter was down more than 9% year over year, despite the city spending millions on promotional campaigns. This decline isn't just a number. It's a sign that the magic that once kept Vegas afloat is slowly fading. Vegas once thrived on emotion, excitement, laughter, and the belief that everyone could find a little luck here. But today, that feeling has been replaced by promotional campaigns, special offers, and LED screens repeating empty promises. Local residents say they can hear the empty drums in the once crowded casino rows. A security guard on the strip said, "Now every night I see more empty seats than real people." That situation didn't come from a single collapse, but from a prolonged bleeding out. As room rates increased, surcharges appeared every place, and jobs in the tourism industry became increasingly precarious. People began to leave Vegas, not because they hated the place, but because they could no longer afford to love it. Those who once made Vegas special, chefs, dealers, housekeepers, small room singers, now face the reality that their jobs no longer provide a stable living. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS 2025, the average wage for service workers in Nevada is currently 18% lower than the recommended minimum living wage for the metropolitan area. Meanwhile, housing costs in Las Vegas have nearly doubled since 2019. A cruel paradox. The city of luxury is strangling the very people who help it shine. And it is those very people who are disappearing. Many residential areas around the Strip that were once bustling are now deserted. Shopping malls are reducing their operating hours. Even advertising lights are programmed to turn off earlier, saving energy in a city once known for its lights that never sleep. Vegas isn't dying from a lack of visitors. It's slowly dying in the silence of its own greed. It had forgotten that what brings people back isn't gambling, but the feeling of living in a place where hope still seems real. But that hope has now left the desert. People seek out other places, small towns, more authentic experiences, and people who still know how to smile for joy, not for tips. Perhaps it's time for Vegas to take a look at itself. Magic cannot exist if it is reduced to a mere formula for making money. Those lights may still shine, but they cannot illuminate a lost soul. Some corporations are trying to restore that, like MGM Resorts International with its Welcome Home Vegas campaign, which aims for a more intimate and equitable experience for visitors and local residents. But can mere marketing slogans reawaken a soul that has been dormant for too long? Because Vegas doesn't need any more light. It needs people, real laughter, real stories, and real belief that there's still some kind of magic here to believe in. If a city is built on dreams, but forgets how to let people dream, what remains but sand and lamps? And when Vegas is left with only the sounds of air conditioning and soulless slot machines, who will dare to bet to save its soul? In a city once built on the mirage of opportunity, Vegas is no longer a place to try your luck, but a stage program for you to fail. People still sit in front of brightly lit slot machines, still roll dice, still pour cocktails and smile. But behind that smile is a system designed to turn every hope into revenue. Vegas was once called the capital of luck, a place where just one spin of the wheel, one card, can change your life. But in the age of data, probability, and algorithms, luck has become a program product. The new machines are equipped with technology that tracks player behavior, from the time you press the button and the frequency of your bets to your facial expressions. These algorithms learn when you're about to leave, then immediately give you a small win, just enough to keep you playing longer. According to the Nevada Gaming Control Board, 2025, revenue from slot machines accounts for over 62% of the total revenue of all Las Vegas casinos, far exceeding blackjack, poker, or roulette. This means that most of the profits no longer come from professional players, but from millions of people caught in a cycle of controlled losses. The feeling of being close to winning, those times when the screen stops right before the jackpot symbol, is not random. That's a psychological effect programmed to stimulate the brain to release dopamine, making players think they're about to win. But almost winning is never actually winning. It just keeps them playing, and keeps them losing. A study from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV 2024, indicates that over 74% of players leave the casino with less money than they entered with, despite playing for less than 2 hours on average. That feeling of, "I'm about to win," is the most subtle trap Vegas has ever created. And perhaps the most tragic thing isn't how much money people lose, but that they gradually lose faith in fairness. Vegas was once a symbol of democratic luck, a place where anyone could win, even if only once. Now, everything is predetermined in the code and mathematical models. Luck, which once made Vegas shine, is now a tool for emotional exploitation. When every game is programmed for you to lose, Vegas has crossed the line from cheating. It has become an economic system built on illusion. An illusion still wrapped in joyful music, bright lights, and the promise of opportunity for all. But inside, only the cold numbers of probability and profit remain. A few corporations are trying to change that. Caesars Entertainment, in an effort to rebuild trust, has begun publishing transparency reports, win rate statistics, as a commitment to players. But when the entire city has become a giant machine program for profit, can a report bring back lost trust? If luck can be programmed too, what else in Vegas is real? And when trust is manipulated for profit, will anyone still have the courage to believe in a miracle? If one day you were blindfolded and led into any resort in Vegas, then had your eyes opened in the middle of the grand lobby, you probably wouldn't know where you were. Paris, Bellagio, Venetian, Wynn. They are all dazzling and luxurious, but today they are frighteningly similar. Vegas once prided itself on being the city of uniqueness, of experiences that couldn't be found anywhere else. But now, amidst a sea of global brands and copies of itself, the city of creativity has become a giant photocopy. In their heyday, each hotel in Vegas was a universe unto itself. Caesar's Palace recreates ancient Rome, New York captures the spirit of Manhattan, and Luxor is an invitation to mysterious Egypt. But as we entered the 2020s, with businesses reigning supreme and creative costs being cut, Vegas began producing standardized experiences, clean, safe, but soulless. Every hall is the same. The smell of synthetic perfume, the sound of repetitive pop music, mirrored bars, and long rows of slot machines flashing in unison. According to the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, LVGEA 2025, over 70% of retail space in the Central Strip area is managed by just 5 major corporations. That means people coming to Vegas no longer have a choice between a local experience and a global brand. Everything has been programmed to look the same, sound the same, and spend money the same way. That repetition isn't just an aesthetic problem, it's eroding the soul of Vegas tourism. Tourists no longer find the once-in-a-lifetime feeling. They came, took a few pictures, and left, carrying the impression that everything here was industrialized beyond belief. The irony is that it was the very differences that once made Vegas so appealing. A city where one can travel through time, culture, and even illusions, all within a few blocks. But now that illusion is gone. It's not because it disappeared, but because it was copied so much that it lost its meaning. Vegas used to be a symphony of improvisation and personality. Now it's just a uniform echo emanating from thousands of loudspeakers. The same song, the same rhythm. A copy repeated until one forgets which is the original. And perhaps that is the true tragedy. When a city born to create illusions becomes a victim of those very illusions. Because if everything in Vegas can be copied, who would want to come back for a second experience? And when difference loses its value, does magic still have a reason to exist? If you stand on the top floor of a hotel on the Strip and look down at night, you'll see a seemingly dazzling scene. Lights spreading out like electronic veins, cars still gleaming under LED billboards, and the words jackpot flashing incessantly. But look closer, and you'll notice something strange. Streets that were once bustling are now as empty as a stage after a performance. Vegas wasn't brought down by any disaster. It's corroding itself from within, brick by brick, person by person, belief by belief. In recent years, Las Vegas has become the clearest example of the phenomenon of virtual prosperity, where the economy continues to grow on paper, while the real lives of residents become increasingly difficult. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS 2025, the percentage of service workers in Nevada who have to work 2 or more jobs has exceeded 22%, the highest in a decade. That's not an indicator of prosperity, but evidence that the city is surviving on exhausted labor. Vegas was built for pleasure, but when greed becomes the operating principle, joy turns into a commodity, and people, whether tourists or residents, become mere ingredients for that machine. Casinos, restaurants, and major hotel chains are racing to raise prices to make up for losses after the pandemic, while workers' wages increased by less than 3% during the same period. That disparity caused the very system that served the Vegas dream to begin to crumble from the root. In once bustling suburbs, for rent and closed for business signs are popping up more frequently. According to the Las Vegas Review Journal, 2025, over 1/5 of small businesses in the downtown area have permanently closed since the beginning of the year because the cost of maintaining them is no longer viable. When fewer tourists visit, money no longer flows into small businesses. It's concentrated in the hands of large corporations with enough capital to survive the downturn. Vegas's economic structure is shrinking, digesting its weakest cells to maintain a glittering facade. The harder Vegas tries to hold on to the light, the more it loses the darkness necessary for people to see reality clearly. It consumes water, energy, and people at an unsustainable rate. Once dubbed the never-sleeping structure, it is now that very sleeplessness that is slowly killing it. Can a place created to make people forget reality save itself with the truth? And when the last light goes out, will anyone be left to turn it on again? Vegas was once born from a dream. The dream that amidst the barren desert, humans could create a paradise of light and opportunity. But now, that paradise is burning itself down. America's most dazzling streets have become cold, and its grandest casinos echo with emptiness. What once made Vegas immortal wasn't neon lights or lavish parties, but human belief that here, no matter who you are, you still have a chance to win, to smile, to forget the weariness of everyday life. When that belief disappears, Vegas is left with only artificial light shining on a stage without an audience. This city has defied every law to survive. But if we don't take a look back soon, it will become a symbol of how a dream can turn into a nightmare. Because ultimately, a city cannot live forever on illusions. It needs honesty, and it needs people who are still brave enough to believe that miracles can be restarted, even from a tiny spark of light in the darkness. If Vegas once taught the world how to dream, who will teach Vegas how to wake up today? And when the last light finally fades, will anyone remember that this place was once a symbol of hope, not greed? If you believe stories like this need to be told so we can better understand America today, please like, share, and subscribe so we can preserve together what is slowly disappearing in silence. All content in this video is compiled from public sources, including reports from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, LVCVA, the Las Vegas Review Journal, and independent analyses from industry experts. All information, data, and citations are presented for the purpose of reflecting social phenomena and analyzing trends, and are not intended to assign responsibility to any specific individual or organization. The statements in the video are opinion-based commentary and exploration, and do not affirm or deny the value or reputation of any brand or business mentioned. Viewers should see this as a perspective for reflection, not an absolute conclusion.